all set, you guys?
Oh, the other one's, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, good, that was,
You on now?
All set.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting for November 8th, 2017. And in compliance with the Commonwealth of Mass open meeting laws, we are being audio taped and videotaped. We have a filing for notice of intent for 32 Fredrickson Road. And I am going to be recusing myself for that as I have a relationship with the owner of the property. So I'm going to leave this to Michelle to take over.
Don't trip.
if you do, don't fall this way.
I don't go that way. All right, who's here for 32 Fredrickson?
Madam Vice Chairman, my name is John Glossa, Glossa Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole, and I'm the engineer who drew the plans. And with me is Nathaniel Morse, who has purchase and sales to buy the property, and I will explain the property to you and the filing, and I have some pictures that might be helpful, and then I'll answer, and Nathaniel can answer any questions you might have. So the property is known as 32 Fredrickson Road. It's Assessor's Map 1346, 163, 1346, 257. And this property was subdivided off of the property that was previously 14 Fredrickson Road. It's actually is still 14 Fredrickson Road. And the lot was subject or subdivided in 2012 via a special permit. So it's known as an estate lot. So it doesn't have the required frontage on Fredrickson Road, but it has, actually in this case, it has much more than it has 726% more of the minimum lot area. This lot is 5 acres, and off of the end of this to the right would be the house and the property that goes with 14 Fredrickson Road, which I believe was left with 13.86 acres. So the plan, a plan was shown to the planning board, and this was allowed by special permit number 201-203 to be subdivided and one single family house built on this 5-acre lot. So that plan, which I don't have with me, it might be in my folder, but showed a driveway going right up the middle of this sort of 60-foot wide portion of the lot that I think at one time was laid out as if this was going to be a subdivision, but now it's just for one lot. And it showed it going right up the middle and up to the back here, and then they showed a potential house, which is about in the location that this house is shown. And that's what was approved by the planning board. It's not necessarily saying that that's how they had to build it, but that was sort of the idea that was given to the planning board, and that triggered the approval. So I actually met Nathaniel here at the desk at the Board of Health and Planning Board office. I was there for some other reason, and because Landmark had done the original work, and now they're no longer in existence, no longer in business, Nathaniel and I had a conversation, and I told him I would take a look at it and give him some prices and tell him what I thought, how this should work out. So in my sort of due diligence, I found that off of the property to the left, there's an isolated wetland. We did some calculations that were on the sheet 3. This wetland would not qualify as a wetland under the state regulations, because under the state regulations, this area would have to hold a 1/4 acre foot of rain in the springtime, essentially, for it to qualify as isolated land subject to flooding. I did recognize, though, and had, a bunch of talks with Janet, with your agent, that under your regulations, it certainly still is jurisdictional. So if you notice, the application I took off Commonwealth of Massachusetts and put on Town of Norfolk, and this was not sent to the DEP. This does not trigger, even though there's a vernal pool there, the vernal pool part of the Massachusetts wetland regulations are in the wetland regulations. That sounds stupid, but they're in the wetland regulations, so if you don't have a wetland under their regulations, you can't have a vernal pool. Under your regulations, you can have a vernal pool and you have a wetlands. You most likely have I think it's a 6th acre foot of water. So we're not challenging that at all. We're saying it's a wetland, it deserves protection under your regulation. And so that's what we endeavored to do. The other thing I noticed here, and you can see it right here, and you'll see it I have some pictures, is there is a huge chunk of ledge that probably sticks up 12, 14, 16 feet high. Now, the landmark plan showed that driveway going right through that ledge. So, I've been an engineer for a long time, and what I found out is when you have ledge, it's usually easier to try to go over it instead of through it, because it's pretty hard. The only way to get rid of it oftentimes is to blow it up. To blow it up, they bring in an air track, they make a big mess, they take down a lot of trees because they need a lot of room, they have big mats that they have to put over it, so we try to go over it. So I designed this driveway to go over the ledge and to go around around it, but over it. So I'm not going right over that huge chunk of ledge. It does bring us closer to the wetlands, but in my estimation, the wetland is going to be protected much better if we simply just leave that ledge alone and go over it and around it. To build this driveway, starting from about, right in here, it doesn't really show the best, there's a blow up of this. We're going to put a retaining wall. The retaining wall is never is any higher than 4 feet, but the retaining wall will separate the driveway from the wetland, and it'll allow us to go over the ground, raise the ground up, so we won't be having to blast out the ledge to build the driveway. And then the driveway will extend, and the house actually is more than 100 feet from the wetlands. And the end of the driveway is more than 100 feet from the wetlands. So the other thing I did is, so I looked at Landmark's soil testing. They did soil testing in this location up here. And they got like 21, 25 minutes per inch on their perk test, which is a fairly large septic system. It's not huge, but it's fairly large. And the other thing is a lot of these were labeled NG. So I got the information from the Board of Health, and they were labeled NG. So I called up Wade Saucier, the Board of Health agent, and Wade, what does NG mean? Well, there wasn't enough soil to have a septic system. In other words, you dig down, you have to have what they call 4 feet of what they call naturally occurring pervious soil, right? So if you don't have that, you can't have a septic system there. So, and they were kind of dispersed, among some good test pits and some bad test pits. And I talked to Nathaniel about this, and I said, Nathaniel, it's going to cost you a fortune to build a septic system here because you're on the side of a hill, and you have a slow perk rate, and you're more than likely going to run into ledge somewhere, which is going to create a problem with the Board of Health, and you're going to end up trying to find places to stick this thing. So I just, in walking up and down, I happened to notice that there's a fairly dramatic change in the topography and what's happening on the ground once you get below this stone wall here. And so I asked the Board of Health, if they would give me the septic plans for these two houses here. And those houses are 2 minute an inch with no water table, no ledge. So my septic system design, right? The house here, septic tank in front of the house. This will go by gravity to this location here where there's a pump it up to the top of the hill, which is right here. And then this flows by gravity down to the leach bed here. So the advantage is you're putting it over gravel. You're putting it over gravel. It's level with the ground. It's not on the side of a hill. It's not in that area. And should it need to be replaced, because they all wear out, you've got plenty of room down here to replace it, rather than trying to do it up in a ledgy, wooded, side of a hill area. So those are the things that, I talked about with Janet and with the Board of Health. This has been approved by the Board of Health, by the way, and with Nathaniel. So, we thought about all of this as we went along. The other sheets, basically, plan and profile is sheet 2, and then sheet 3, as you saw, is just sort of a blow-up of the area that's of your concern. The other thing I need to tell you is, so this is in a rare species, right, priority, what's the words? So I had to send this so I sent a separate application to MESA, and I have emailed back and forth with them. They haven't given me a final decision. They were interested in, and I did send them in this that says that this is for one single-family house only and cannot be re-subdivided. So they thought that, I'm sure they thought that was a good idea. But if you want to add a condition that says, subject to any conditions that MESA has or that Fish and Wildlife have, that's certainly satisfactory to us. So the other thing I want to do is, and I'll hand these out. I have 5 copies of these, but this will give you, I think, and I'm not going to assume that. There's 4 in each little package.
Thank you, sir.
So, this photo number 1 is taken, so I'm standing out on Fredrickson Road, sort of looking in this direction. This is the house here. I believe that's number 36 Fredrickson Road. And the driveway heading in is just to the right on this photo. So just to sort of give you an idea. Photo number 2, again, I'm standing on Fredrickson Road, but I'm looking right up the driveway. And you can actually see the test pits that we did to the left. You can see how the ground's kind of gravelly, it's level. I don't think those are natural, but it's mostly pine trees down there. And if you did what I do as often as I do, you would see that there's a big difference in the topography and the ground cover between this and photo number 3. So photo number 3 is taken right here where the vernal pool, the end of the vernal pool is right to our left. And you can see what I'm doing here basically is following the path that the excavator made when he went back here, he or she went back here to dig these test pits. And, the guy in the excavators doesn't want to wreck the excavator, so he's following the path of least resistance, and we're following his path. And I also staked this out so that Janet could go out and actually see, and you can see one of the stakes there. So That's what we're doing, so the point is, minimum amount of tree removal, minimum amount of ledge and that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to tell you that this is gonna be, you know, that it's not gonna look like a construction site, but it's gonna look a lot less like a construction site than if this driveway went up the middle of that 60-foot wide swath. And then the last photo, number 4, is just simply, you know, Mesa asked me to make these, and that's just taken right here, looking up at where the house would be. And you can actually, here you can really see the difference sort of in the topography with the, you know, the slope and the rock sticking out and that sort of stuff. So, as far as water, we're not bringing in a water service. There'll be a well here. And then there's no gas here as far as I know. I don't think there's gas that far in Norfolk. But there would be underground electric and underground telephone and cable TV. And they would all be underground, I'm assuming, right? Yeah. So that's sort of the end of my presentation. I can answer any questions you might have. Nathaniel can answer any questions you might have if you have some questions about the house or something like that.
Jenna, did you go out?
Did I want, oh, yes. And John, to give him credit, because he's been very good with coming, showing, discussing, plan, mark, you know, where that driveway's going with stakes, so I can go out and peek where's the issues and just try to, you know, work stuff out ahead of time. The only part I'm nervous about, and I had that in my notes to the members too, is just right where that retaining, you know, there's not a lot of room, you know, and it just, you know, that's where my gray hair comes from. That's where that retaining wall's going. Mr. Weddleton and I were talking about that today, and he was suggesting having it as a condition where that's going in first.
Right.
You know, and taken care of before they're doing the other stuff, and explaining to me too, from a building point of view, how that works and why it's better to do that.
Yeah.
To avoid impacts.
Yeah, we don't have a problem with that, and certainly we would accept that as a condition. There's also on the plan, a note on the plan, and you can reiterate it as a condition if you want, that, you know, this lot line be staked by a land surveyor prior to construction, and then if you want, and I'm not trying to spend all of Nathaniel's money, but if you do want myself to go out there and at least supervise somewhat as they get started, maybe just when they get the base stones in and make sure everything stays on his property and everything's done properly. That's really probably would be in everyone's best interest, including Nathaniel's, because the last thing you want to do is have me go out there at the end or somewhere along the line and find out that the thing's on the other property or it's not built the way the plans really called for, so probably in everyone's best interest to do that.
What kind of retaining walls are going to be?
It's just we just show it as a field stone retaining wall. We feel that they're gonna be able to find a lot of field stones in this area.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
And they can also bring some in. We did put a detail on sheet 2 of what it would look like, but basically they dig a trench, they put crushed stone in, they put, you know, some base rocks of considerable size and start to backfill and do the next level. There's nowhere on this wall where we're higher than 4 feet, so it's not really construction that requires design or permit from the building department, as long as it stays below 4 feet.
Where
We
on,
do show a guardrail on top of it.
where on photo 3 will that wall be?
On photo 3, the wall is, so that stake is the center line of the
The driveway.
14-foot wide driveway, so it's 7 feet to the left of that. And that's about where it starts, at that beam
So
pole right
to the right at the tree in the far end there?
to the right of the tree, yeah.
Okay, so none of those trees or anything over there will be disturbed?
I can't guarantee you that, but that, we're not, maybe that one, that's the
14 feet, yeah.
closest, but our intention is to follow that path.
Might be right on the edge of it.
Yeah, From this photo and from the way I drew it, I would say, no, we're not going to take that tree down, but I couldn't guarantee that to you right now, because we really didn't locate that. But our intention is, if you look at this, is to follow that path, and you can see where I drew it. That's the path. So from looking at this, I would say that it's uphill of that tree.
Okay.
But again, I don't want you to think that I can guarantee that to you.
Any other members have any comments, questions? Is anyone in the audience here for 32 Fredrickson who has any comments or questions? Yes.
State your name and your address, please.
Hey, Jeremy Sink, 14 Fredrickson.
I'm sorry, your name?
Jeremy Sink, 14 Fredrickson. There's a bunch of stone walls back there. I'm just curious if you're going to leave some of those there, knock those down. It's all along the plot line. Just leave them as is.
So,
Except when we cross through the
yeah,
one.
so can I just turn the plan
Sure.
around for a second? So Jeremy, the only place he's gonna is right here, where it, yeah, he's gonna open that up to put the driveway in, but there's nothing on this plan that shows the removal of any of the stone wall, other than that one spot.
Those existing fieldstone barrier walls, boundary walls?
It was at one time, yeah, because this was Shepherd and this was, begins with an M, Metalucis, something like that. So it was at one time, and now it's, this separates this lot from, must be number 30, and it separates this lot from number 36.
Okay.
So they are, in that sense, they are walls that are actually property lines.
All right.
Any other comments or questions? Yes.
So what's the rule? Curious, same person, 14 Fredrickson. What's the rule that you guys are asking to change slightly? Is it distance to the vernal pool? I didn't hear the actual regulation that you're trying to work on.
So Jeremy,
Yeah.
the way it works is when you have wetlands, okay, and in this case, we have wetlands that are jurisdictional under the Town of Norfolk wetland bylaw. Any work within 100 feet of those wetlands requires a permit from this board, and it's called an order of conditions. So they give us a list of conditions to follow during construction, and you just heard some of them. We're gonna have a land surveyor stake the line, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's not like a zoning board. We're not asking for a variance or anything like that. We're just asking for them to give us an approval to work within 100 feet and to list the conditions that they want us to follow.
And how close are you going to get?
We get pretty close, unfortunately, to the vernal pool. We probably get within 7 or 8 feet or so for one short part of the driveway. But as I explained to the commission, moving the driveway farther away from the wetland at that site is actually counterproductive, because the land at that location rises up to a chunk of ledge that probably sticks up 12 or 14 or maybe even 16 feet out of the ground. Yeah, so to remove that really is problematic. I don't know if you've ever seen people remove ledge, but those guys come and they're gonna take down every tree, and they're gonna bring in an air track, and they're gonna make a big mess, and then they're gonna put dynamite in there and blow it up. And then they have to get a big excavator to take away all of those large boulders that they create. So to go around it and over it makes more sense to me, and I'm hoping it makes more sense to the commission.
So moving the septic system down, obviously, you think would help to prevent some of that pollution in that vernal pool too? I mean, is that is part of it?
Well, we can put a condition with the mesa.
In fact, there is a requirement in Title V that any septic systems upstream of the vernal pool can't be within 100 feet.
Gotcha. And number of trees that you're gonna take out of there, is that for this hearing? Is this later? Or does it all part of the plan? No idea. I'm just curious. And Nathaniel and I can
Thanks.
talk about that later.
Yeah, I don't really know the number of trees. Again, we're following the path that the excavator made. So the number of trees actually along that driveway, I'm gonna guess it's less than 12, and it may be as little as 6. Because we're 14 feet wide, following the same path that excavator operator put in there.
Anyone else? Any other questions, comments?
Just quick, did you get a response back from the Natural Heritage people?
No, I didn't, and I meant to email them today, but I just had a really busy day. So again, I don't, seemed like, to me, in our emails back and forth, especially when I sent them the information that showed that it's only one lot, they seemed to be very amenable to this, but they haven't given me their formal letter. So my advice would be to put it in your order of conditions that, the project is subject to whatever additional conditions MESA might add to the.
And we usually have one in there, like no work may begin until we've gotten, a copy of that
Yeah.
paperwork.
Yeah, you could do
And-
that too.
and
And
to
I'm
include-
not sure if your plan shows it, but this plan, they made us show the actual, limit of disturbance on the plan and actually quantify it, 43,562 square feet, essentially an acre. So I don't think that the plan that I actually submitted to you showed that, but.
Nope, it's
Oh,
right
it
up on
does?
there. Yep,
Okay,
good job.
okay.
John, there's one other thing on the plan. I mean, just because it's so close to the vernal pool, as you refer to it to being 14 feet wide, but the plan says 12.
Oh, well, it's 12 then. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just,
Okay, just to clarify.
yeah, no, thank you for that. It's 12.
Tom, anything?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, do we have any motions on?
I guess we have a motion to have an order of conditions for 32 Fredrickson.
Do you want to close the hearing first?
I do wanna
Yeah,
oh,
thank you.
thank you for that. A motion to close the hearing for 32 Fredrickson Road.
Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
We'll have a motion to create an order of conditions for 32 Fredrickson Road to build a driveway within the 50-foot buffer with a retaining wall and utilities, with the condition from the to get the letter from the National Heritage, and what was the other one? Mesa?
Well, MESA is the national.
Okay, you're right,
heritage,
Mesa, the National Heritage, to be put in the conditions.
Yeah, and then it's up to you. I don't know if you wanted to do something with, well, you wanted to have the wall built first. And do you
Yes.
want to have the wall inspected, or?
An
We're get-
additional amendment to have the wall built and inspected, and to have you on site as the construction is happening.
Yeah, okay.
And it needed to be resurveyed, so we have, what, 5 conditions here? that we want to make sure we get
You get those? Amy?
resurveyed. Needed to be resurveyed.
So read the line, yep,
Build the retaining wall first, with John there.
yep.
And okayed.
And
Yep, that would have to be through. We need a copy of the paperwork from National Heritage.
That was that, huh?
And,
Well, and you want to say that any conditions that National Heritage put on there would be part and parcel of your order of conditions, right? You can't, there has to be anyway, but.
is that our 5? Is that our 5? Do we have 5?
sounds good.
Anything else on that, Janet, that you can think of?
1, 2, 3, 4,
Well, I
5.
just want to make the point,
We're gonna
because
have to research.
don't know,
We're just gonna
we have
go
to have
through
this
steps.
paperwork ready for the
So
next
that
meeting,
building
December,
wall
whatever.
stays on your
I don't know if we'll really, if Natural
need that
Heritage will have a letter back to us or not, so we can just tweak that where he can't start work until, we get that they're approving.
Right, that was one of our conditions, or do we continue it until we get the paperwork back to see
We
Just
can
in
do it
case.
where no work commences until, you know.
National Heritage has
yeah,
cleared it.
Because we've done that with others too.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Because sometimes it takes forever and they have to duke it out in private or something, so we don't
Right.
wanna be part of the blood and guts, but.
Okay, so we've got,
This is
to
the
just
deal.
reiterate, for clarification, a motion to build within the 50-foot buffer zone for a retaining wall, driveway, and utilities, subject to any restrictions of national heritage, a copy of the paperwork being provided, the lot being resurveyed, the retaining wall being built first with John on site. Am I missing anything?
We're good.
I think that's the motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'm not repeating that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that detailed explanation.
Okay.
Excuse me, John. Do you have an electronic version of that you could?
So should we put them on?
Yes.
Okay.
Pictures. That way too, if you get a copy for,
Yeah, I have a copy.
then I'll still.
That was confusing.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Oh, 44 Seekonk.
Can you guys keep the conversation outside? We're gonna open up the continued, public hearing for the NRAD for 144 Seekonk Street.
Gentlemen?
John, again, could you keep the conversation outside? You told us, man. Is our consultant here, Mr. Good evening, sir. What I would like to do, I just scanned your report when I got it this afternoon, so what I would like to do is have you give a quick overview of your report. It looks to me like the best way to move forward is to have the applicant go back in the field, replace all of the missing flags and prepare the proper documents so it's complete. And after that, we could, well, I think tonight we'd like to discuss whatever we can as far as the flags that are in question. Once the flagging is all complete per your report, I'm gonna send you and their wetland scientist out there with our agent and see if you can come to consensus on the location of the flag. Or if you can't, you bring it back to this board. When that field visit happens, the applicant will not be with the people, just so you know. We will have one applicant, we'll have the representative from the applicant, our agent, and our consultant, okay? So there won't be any team effort there, so to speak, okay? And then we'll see if we can get the flags in question now. Just talk about them, and you can mark them, notice them up in the plan there, okay? So why don't you first briefly go over the report that you gave us, and
Right, my name's Ed Hutchinson, I'm Tetra Tech. I'm a consultant that reviewed the ANRAD.
You gotta have a
capital
microphone.
commission.
yes.
Yeah, we need a microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Microphone.
Oh, working? Okay.
Great.
And I went out to the field Monday, October 23rd, sorry, with Janet, and can I use this chart over here?
Yes.
Basically, we walked the site and visited both wetlands. The wetland I refer to, I guess, as a southern wetland off the southern property boundary. we confirmed all those flags were accurate, basically at the toe of slope. And any soils that are upland of the flags didn't really exhibit any hydro characteristics. So we felt that those flags were accurate, and
All right, sure.
a small portion of the 100-foot buffer zone extends onto the subject property, so really a little bit further away. When we looked at the wetland in the central portion of the property, there was flags 60 and 62, or 60 and 61, excuse me, were missing. And those flags I probably had fallen and were never surveyed because I guess the numbers go from like 57 to 60.
Great.
So those are missing. And they were probably never picked up in the first place. The wetland data forms, the location of those were based on flags 60 and 61. They said on the form, it says the data plot was taken maybe 13 feet from flag 60
Right.
and 10 feet from flag 61. So we couldn't find those flags. So we couldn't really find the location of the data plot. So
Right, we'll just hold off on those comments until they're all
Oh, okay.
up and visible, sure.
And then we noticed flag 80 or 81 was missing, and further up between flags 70 and 72, we noticed that there were some hydro characteristics further north, and we felt that maybe we should revisit that area with the data forms.
What about the section on the identification of the vernal pool?
Basically, Jan and I talked about the basin area exhibiting vernal pool characteristics, basically based on the situation of its way it's situated in the landscape. It has some basin characteristics, and it looks like it could hold water in the springtime. So we felt that in the spring it maybe should be examined for vernal pool characteristics.
Comments, Steve?
Sure.
No comments, Mr. Chairman. We completely understand Tetra Tech's report. We've already scheduled the delineation of those missing flags.
Good,
We'll
okay.
locate them by survey, but you don't necessarily need them on survey to do the review in the field, but nonetheless, we'll keep this office apprised.
Right,
of,
when everything is complete per this report, you give our office a call, and we can schedule everybody to go out there and take a look and try to come to consensus on which things are in disagreement, okay?
Yep.
On the flag testing, were the soils tested in the flag areas?
Yes, they were.
They were? So you've got that background for where your markings are then?
Yep.
Okay. As far as the springtime check of the vernal pool, does that affect anything in this project, whether that is a vernal pool or just a wetland? Does that affect any of the resource lines? Do you know, Janet, does that?
I don't think so.
All right, I'm just, I definitely want to get that either confirmed or denied, but since it's a springtime job, I want to just make sure we don't get too far and then have this thing determined one way or the other and have to go back and change, yes.
Another thing, instead of spring,
Right here, wow.
it's if you need the data for certification for the creatures that are in there. You might have a wonderful puddle of water and nothing uses it, and it's not a certifiable vernal pool. They can actually do the calculations depending on topography and that for how much water it holds, just to see.
All right, but if are they working in that 100-foot resource area in that particular spot?
Well, this is resource, if I
Right
may, it's
here.
resource area
I
delineation,
understand.
so.
So my question is, if the buffer zone does not change, whether it's a wetland or a vernal pool, the only thing that really would be affected then if you folks are gonna be working within that resource area and it is a vernal pool. So my question is, do you anticipate working in that area that they're talking about?
It's hard to say. The extent of the potential vernal pool will determine that.
All right, so.
I
I understand. All right, so at this juncture then, that could be material, so we want to just keep that in mind as you start to move forward. And my understanding, you haven't started with the zoning board anyway, so hopefully this won't be a major problem as far as your project goes, okay? But just keep that in mind, and maybe you could do a worst-case scenario, assuming that may be a vernal pool, and, or conduct your plans accordingly.
Yeah, I don't wanna talk too much about a pending ZBA application, cause this is only an ANRAD, but under the State Wetlands Protection Act, vernal pool has no buffer zone.
All right, well, we'll get to that when we get there, okay? So right now, we're gonna have the flags and the data forms all prepared, all flagged out. They'll notify the Conservation Office, and then we'll have you folks go out there and update the report with everything existing and see which things are in a disagreement or not. Okay?
Okay? Oh, great.
Don't forget, Steve, we also have the right to not let you waive the local regulations on our vernal pools and move forward that way, so we do want to find it out.
Yeah, we intend to find it out.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. So we will continue this, I'm assuming this can all be done within the next month. So we will continue this hearing. Our next meeting is
December 13th.
December 13th. We have somebody at 7 o'clock already.
On the 13th?
I believe, Janet, did we have somebody scheduled in? Yes, we had the Enclave.
No, I didn't, I give him the
You
date, but I didn't give
Did
him a
not.
time.
Okay, so why don't we move this to December 13th at 7 o'clock?
Make a motion to continue 144 Seekonk to December 13th at 7 o'clock PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so hopefully you guys can get that done and get back to it next time.
No, somebody, there was something for 29.
Thank you, Ed.
This
I assume Janet will be in touch with me when that's all.
We'll let you know when it's all
Okay,
set to
great.
go, all right?
No, Whitney.
Okay, Village
Right,
Green, because
yeah.
we got.
No, I gave him
We
the
are
date.
going to continue the public hearing for the Enclave at Village Green. We don't have any information from the consultants on either side. Are any of you folks here for the Enclave? Unfortunately, we don't have the consultants' report back, so there was a continuance that was granted to next meeting, which is December 13th. So this will be postponed till then. Hopefully, we have all the information back from the consultants. So we'll need a motion to continue the public hearing for the Enclave at Norfolk to 7:15 on December 13th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
And we're cooking.
All right, so now we're up to date. We're on time. We have orders of condition on a filing where the meeting was closed last time on 11 Old Cot Path. You have the orders there?
Yeah.
The orders prepared, we had closed the hearing, we were gonna vote on this. The orders that were prepared were to deny this project based on a lack of information. So that vote wasn't taken. If somebody would like to give me a motion on that,
To take the vote.
to deny the orders of condition on 11 Old Cot Path.
From the
I'm not
first
understanding.
time.
First hearing, right, the one that we already closed.
Do you have to mention that number? 'Cause do we
No,
have to
that's,
men-
this is the new number.
Right, so do we have to mention the old number, so it doesn't?
I don't think so. She has that. We're gonna sign it right now.
Okay, motion to deny the order of conditions on Old Cart Path.
Second,
Second?
do you have those printed up, Janet?
The other one.
Number one.
That was the first
Yeah.
filing, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just so you can see, excuse me, that's the motion there, and that's right on the form.
Before we open the public hearing on the new filing for Old Cod Path, yeah, and incidentally, we are able to do this because the information, we need a material change in the old filing to let them file within 1 year of the last filing, and since the material change is, we now have had the information submitted promptly, then I accepted this to be a new filing. Where we stand, I would like to bring up the filing fee on this one. There was some communication in the back and forth on the multiple meetings going at one time for the applicant. So I am gonna suggest a motion to the board that the initial filing fee that was paid be waived on the denial, and the new filing fee, which has been paid on this project, will be in effect for this same project.
So,
Okay.
How much was that filing fee?
500, I think.
Oh, $500. Did you, so do I have a second on that?
Second.
All right, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I don't believe that we ever cashed that check, so that check will be returned to the company. And now we will open up the public hearing for the new filing for Old Cart Path. This is notice of intent number B2017-03, so there's no confusion. You're right.
Probably in your packet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. On behalf of Norfolk County Homes, I'm Steve O'Connell from Andrews Survey and Engineering. The applicant proposes to construct a single-family home with on-site sewage disposal system. And the resource area that is in question or presents the reason why we're here is the 100-year floodplain on the FEMA maps. Under your local bylaw, that is a resource area and therefore has buffer zones. So the extent of the floodplain is elevation 124.0, shown here in green. We have a 50-foot buffer as the first orange line and the 100-foot buffer as the second orange line. We kept all work associated with this lot out of the 50-foot buffer. We have the septic system and the house and most of the driveway outside of the 100-foot buffer, and it's just some grading for that slope as part of the septic system and house construction that takes place between the 50 and 100-foot buffer. Travis from my office walked the site with Janet, illustrating to her what the stakes that were put at the limit of work line were, and I hope those were clear. And that being said, I'd be happy to answer any specific questions you may have.
Gina, would you just let us know on your site visit you saw everything in order of what you told me?
Yeah, and also too, because this plan, I think, had changes, because Board of Health tweaked the septic
That's correct. We had a revised septic design.
and
Yep.
tweaked the house or something, so all those changes are now on this plan. Yeah, so with the site visit,
All right.
everything was fine.
Yep.
Just so the board knows, normally we take floodplain areas, and when you're filling in floodplain capacity, that has to be compensated in another part of the lot. We are one of the few folks, I believe, that have a buffer zone to the floodplain. So not only can't they work in the buffer and the floodplain, we actually control the 100 feet around it. And personally, I'm still not sure why we have that. I think it's probably if some infraction where you've got extra runoff into the floodplain. I really haven't determined that yet, so this is probably one of the more confusing of our local regulations than most of the others. But that being said, I don't see, and I believe you're on board with me, this seems to be fine. There's no infraction on anything. And I'll open up to questions for you folks. Any questions? Michelle?
nothing.
Bruce, any questions? Anybody in the audience here for this filing? Any questions? Very good. That being said, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing for Old Cart Path.
Make a motion to close the hearing for 11 Old Cart Path.
A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did you prepare the documents for this, or we, okay. So we have orders of condition that were emailed to us. I read them, they were just standard restriction, there were no special conditions on this because there is nothing to it. That being said, if everybody's in agreement, we can vote to approve the orders of condition, and these folks can get started.
Make a motion to approve the orders of condition for 11 Old Cart Path.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so you can walk out with these orders, you're all set, you've got your money back. Sorry for the confusion last time, we hate to do that.
Sorry,
so
I was late to the meeting.
I hope we helped to try to make it up for the whole thing, so.
Appreciate it, thank you very
okay.
much.
And if you don't mind, if somebody wants to pick up those order conditions tomorrow, because we've got to write names and make copies of them and everything. Thank you.
Michelle, gonna sign this? There you go. Next,
For Lakeshore.
we're in time.
Good night,
Good night.
thank you.
I'd like to open up the public hearing now for 7:45
Oh,
past
yeah.
45 Lakeshore Drive. You know, I'm just saying, I didn't- just saying.
Maybe my thinking would be- Remember my uncle with the Sunday newspaper. That name.
Good evening. Rick Goodrow with United Consultants. First, the house cleaning issues. We have the green cards and white cards. You prefer green and white?
Thank you, yeah. I need to let you know, 99.20 for the ad.
I saw that. We'll take care of that. Thank you. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, I have a large copy of the plan, which it looks like you already have, and then I have some small 11 by 17s if some of the board
Oh,
members,
I'll take one of those.
commission members would like those, or somebody can have a large one.
Oh, the small one would be fine with me.
New construction.
Still on my eyesight.
Is this code? 9/11?
So we're here this evening on behalf of Chris Darling, the applicant for this property. Property is located on Lakeshore Drive. The rear of the property has a bordering vegetated wetland that was delineated by AES Services. The proposal is to construct a single-family house shown here with a garage, driveway located here, water service connection, and a septic system here. The work will be within the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone to the bordering vegetated wetland. We've identified the 50-foot buffer zone here, the 100-foot buffer zone here. We have shown a limit of work line as well as an erosion control barrier to provide for erosion control during the construction of the project. We also have shown the flood line, which is elevation 137. It's a solid line running just to the west of the erosion control. That is the bordering land subject to flooding for the project. We have also identified the 50 and 100-foot buffer zones to the bordering land subject to flooding, shown here, labeled here and here. So the project is within 50 feet of the bordering land subject to flooding, but within the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone to the wetland resource area, which would be the bordering vegetated wetland. We have identified the possibility to provide some mitigation, which we hope to discuss with the commission this evening. Other options that we've looked at are potentially a fence along the boundary of the limit of work, or the preferred method of mitigation would be some plantings along that line to demarcate the line, as well as to provide some wildlife habitat. We wanted to get some input from the board on that. Hopefully tonight we can have that discussion. We have identified the buffer zone disturbance areas to the BVW, which is approximately 6,200 square feet. That's being proposed to be disturbed. Be happy to answer any questions that the commission members may have.
Janet?
Couple of things, I think I even checked, like 5:30 tonight. Now DEP appears to have gotten this, but they haven't given it a number yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
They didn't have any comments, but they hadn't issued a file number yet.
Right, no, they put in, what was it, single family,
SFR, single-family
Yeah,
residence.
and
BZ.
BZ, buffer zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have printed it and brought it, but it was no real need to.
Well,
It
that's,
was-
yeah, I keep checking just to make sure, but
Well, thank you.
that's been sitting there, so we wouldn't be able to close anyway tonight, so, just so everybody knows, but a lot of mine was minor stuff, like if you look, cause we do go through these carefully.
Sure.
But if you look, it says BVM.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
typo, I saw
Well,
that.
you're just seeing if I'm paying attention. And if you could just, maybe, and maybe it's just me, but for the bordering land, the FEMA, the 137, just mark it a little clearer, just because people will have this for future reference if they want to do any more work on the property or anything, just so it's
Yeah, we've labeled it here, but we could make that line stand out more.
something,
If
yeah,
that would
just, and
make
is,
it wider or
is the,
something.
is the elevation on that too, on the right hand, just so it's clear for people, that's all.
Sure, we could add the elevation.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay, no dimensions for the proposed house, garage, and garage floor elevation. Normally they'll say, whatever, 20 by 30.
Is the slab the garage for elevation, the 143?
We're 152 spot grade out in front of the garage, but we can label that. I mean, the
So-
garage will have a slope to it, but the 152 would be the spot grade at the entrance to the garage.
Okay, so it's just, it's gonna be a slab there, 150.
Correct, there'll be no basement under the garage.
And then the measurements for the dimensions
We
of
can,
the.
we can add those.
Okay. Right, and I was just getting a little lost with following the elevations around because there is such a change there. You know, they're, I think, on the left-hand side, but they don't carry per se over on the right. That's just me trying to get a feel for what's going on over there. And I bless Mr. Weddleton's heart, because he was over this afternoon, because I was having, I know I did the site visit, and you're coming back up that slope, if you wanna call it a slope. But you hit that top and you still can't see the road, because that chunk's gotta come away, but
Correct.
just from the house point of view, but he explained it to me as far as elevation, because, it's like they have to be able to get in and out, they can't be doing this, and also for which way the water's going, so it's not running right into the driveway, you know, but what he was saying is they'll be taking that away, so they'll probably have that truck right there in the street, you know, to take that dirt, put it in the trunk and take it out of there.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
Is this a walkout?
Yes,
What's the elevation of the walkout?
it would be the slab elevation, 143.
143. And what's the existing grade back there, 141 or 2?
Yeah, it's about
All
140.
right, so how are you gonna handle the back of the garage? The back of the garage can't have a walkout, so the back of the garage is gonna be 10 feet higher
Correct.
than the house, and you're right near the limit of disturbance, so you're gonna have a bunch of wall treatment there, right?
Correct.
And
What
they
we-
should be shown on the plan.
What we propose is to pour that wall out of the ground, so it will be 4 feet in the ground for frost protection.
Which
And-
wall?
Wall for the back of the garage and then the side. So what we're proposing is to pour that wall from 4 feet below grade up to above the garage slab, and then put some false siding on that and allow that to act as, you know,
And how-
visibility.
Yeah, but how does, when it connects to the house, you're dropping down the 8 feet. The house is a walkout, isn't it?
Correct.
So the house elevation walkout is 143, and the garage elevation's gonna, you're gonna have the garage down, you're gonna have 10 feet,
You're gonna have a 10-foot
Exposed.
foundation wall that will put
you're gonna
a
have it exposed.
fake siding over it.
Okay.
So we'll run the siding down it so you
You
won't
should
have
put,
the,
you should put that on the plan, because
fine.
that's kinda crucial. And, you've decided, you talked about 2 regulations, but you combined them as one. One of them is you gotta demarc the erosion control limit, so you gotta have either a posted rail fence, boulders, or shrubbery,
okay?
right? Which one are you gonna use? You can let us know at the next meeting if you like,
Yeah.
and put it on the plan.
Sure.
Now we got mitigation.
Yep.
So now you gotta have mitigation, and you can come up with that at the next plan too. But you can give me a suggestion, but basically, you've got a lot of grade there going like this by the pond.
Yes,
So you've got to come up with something substantial there.
okay,
That's gonna be mitigation and also, stop the erosion with the runoff also, okay? I don't care if it's a combination of, small trees or ground cover or both, but we gotta stop the runoff going down there, okay?
okay.
Yes, Janet?
Just something to add, because I'm sure neighborhood people will be upset if this gets developed, but, I know down right along the water, there's a lot of what I call human trash, bottles and all that kind of stuff, and, I mean, sometimes part of mitigation is just cleaning right at the shoreline and everything. I don't know if kids hang out or something, and, you know, cleaning that up is part of the mitigation, and some sort of, you know, native
We'll
ground
look into
cover.
that. Yeah, I
Native
mean,
ground cover would be nice too, you know.
Get rid of the, maybe, where is it, Janet? Is it this end or this end, middle?
Mainly on the right-hand side.
Over here?
Yeah, oh my goodness, if you
All right.
go down to the water right where there's a little wall or something, puddles and everything, so.
All right, we'll
just,
take a look, and that's,
you know,
that's a
just
a
hand
great way to
picking up a
provide some
couple.
mitigation, is to
Yeah.
remove the
Plus,
trash and.
make it safer for anybody walking around back there.
Sure.
But, ground cover would be nice, you know, especially with working up on top for erosion, trying to hold the soil there.
Sure.
Native plants.
Absolutely.
Poison ivy works well.
Not for me, I'm not planting.
So before I open up for questions, you're gonna come back with the add-ons to the plan.
Mhm.
You gotta come back with your decision to demarc the erosion control limit. You're gonna use hay bales and silt fence for this erosion control.
We were proposing a compost sock.
No. When you got a slope like that, we don't want a compost sock that a 6-year-old can move. We want a silt fence that's in the ground with bales in front of it.
Yeah, no, the compost sock is the heavier
The
one.
heavy one?
Yes, the heavy one that's got the compost.
That's still only about 7 inches high, though.
No, we specified a 12-inch high. They make different size tubes. So, but we can, all right, we can talk about that. We'll go over
Yeah,
that.
because that,
What we've had in the past is actually, 2 or 3 of them where they
Yeah,
stacked. All right,
yeah.
silt
See,
fence
you-
and
you
hay
got-
bales,
you-
I got it.
yeah, you're working in like 3 buffer zones now, so really, you gotta make sure that nothing gets to run off down there, number one. Number two, when you come back with a mitigation plan, are you guys the builder or some of the owner?
Yes, sir.
All right.
The
when you co-
applicant.
Do me a favor, when you come back with a mitigation plan, don't come back with like 10 blueberry bushes, all right? All right, I'm just trying to treat so nothing runs off down to the lake, because you're
Sure.
working right on the line there, it's going like this, you got construction going on, and you don't wanna have something going over that silt fence and having our agent out there to see it, so. All right, so if you come back with the demarcation, make the extra notes on the back of the house,
Sure.
and fix your typos, and give us a mitigation plan, that would be a great start. Question, Tom? Questions on this?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. Patrick,
No, looks good to me.
are you all set with?
Yeah,
it's-
if you get stuff ready or any questions, you know where to find us, so.
Sure.
You know, if we can get that stuff squared away and hopefully
Any
have the
questions,
number come
Michelle?
in, we can
All
wrap
set.
up next time, you know.
Okay.
This is a real good design, for I know that you've got a 50-foot setback here, so I understand why everything's placed. So this is a real good design, but, and you're fitting everything in, but it still doesn't alleviate the fact that you're on a steep slope there going into a wetland pond, so you wanna make sure that's protected, okay?
Very sensitive, no doubt.
Okay, very good. So we will continue this until next time. Technically, we cannot close the hearing, as Janet said.
Correct.
Without the state number, so hopefully you can adjust this plan and get this back to us. And perhaps next time we can finish up and close the hearing, and maybe, if Janet has enough time, have the orders all typed up for you,
That'd be great.
hopefully, okay? So, unless you come back with the blueberry bushes. All right.
You don't like blueberries?
Well, nothing against them, they grow wild in Norfolk, so most people take 8 of them and transplant them, put them in, and that's covers the runoff. So we will continue this public hearing till December 13th at 7:30?
Do we have 7:15 already?
Yeah, we do.
7:30. So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we'll see you folks back then, and, when you get the plan, Rick, just drop it off, okay?
Got it.
You'll be
Thank
all
you.
set. You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Did they check that?
He's going to.
Okay, okay.
So we have a certificate of condition for Leland Road.
First of all, I only got one back on, 11 Old Cart. Does somebody else have the first Old Cart?
I don't remember signing the second one.
Orange post-it
We
note.
passed it, we didn't.
First one we never
No, she's got it right here.
So this one is for,
That's the denial, right?
this is denial.
The number should be the 21701. There you go.
Yeah, okay. Let's see if I sign. Okay, nobody signed this then. All right.
Okay, so what do we have first? 85 Leland?
So we can take a vote on the orders of condition, the certificate of compliance, I'm sorry, for 85 Leland Road. Was the payment received?
Actually, that's a typo. That's supposed to be at 38 Needham's, no,
Okay.
20 Castle. 20 Castle owes $100.
They still do?
Yeah,
Okay,
85 Leland does not.
okay. Do you have the orders presented
Yeah.
for the certificate of compliance for 85 Leland? So we'll need a motion to approve the COC for 85 Leland Road.
So moved.
Second.
Would you pass that to Janet, please? All in favor?
Aye.
We have a second, we didn't have a second.
I,
That
Second?
did.
Okay,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Francis?
And we next have the certificate for 25 Myrtle Street. Motion to approve certificate of compliance.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
It's all set. You say Castle Road has paid.
No.
No.
All right, so we're not gonna do anything on that. That we can,
Mr. Whittleton, if I might, they had called,
yeah,
that's why I was just,
just sign it and hold it.
yeah, because they were supposed to be coming in tomorrow, you know, checks in the mail, it's,
Okay.
they're doing the closing tomorrow, so I'm assuming they're gonna be running in for the form that they can take with them if we get our check.
Okay. Do you have the document?
Big post-it on the front, if we get our check.
Do you have the document? So we take a motion to approve the certificate of release for 20 Castle Road.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed.
I'm,
Michelle.
I said, aye.
20.
Aye,
and
him.
Tom, okay. No, okay.
I don't wanna sit near you.
We do a certificate of release when it's an old order that was never followed up on, and now they've got to pass, and they find out on the deed, this was
Yeah, you
never
can't get
cleared.
it
So you
done.
can't get
Yeah,
a certificate
sign
of
that, yes.
compliance, the time's gone by, so we have this
Yeah,
certificate of
to
release
the release,
document.
okay. Didn't know that. Oh, cripple.
So then we have,
Minutes.
Yeah, you haven't signed
Yeah, well.
25 Myrtle yet. You voted on 25 Myrtle, not signed.
Cool.
did you give it to us?
Nope.
It's coming.
I was confused.
Do we have on Needham Street?
Yeah, we got Needham Street next. So we have a motion to
Let's wait for this
approve the
one.
certificate of compliance for 38 Needham Street.
So moved.
We need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, 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 aye.
All right, so we're waiting for Castle and for,
Yep.
Myrtle and Needham Street.
Did we get the motion to issue?
Bruce has to sign that one, right?
Huh?
Did
Who?
they do a
Bruce have to
motion
sign
to
it?
issue?
I don't think Bruce was on this time.
Oh, he wasn't here then?
No, he wasn't here.
Okay, all right.
Are we just
This
signing?
one here.
Yeah.
38?
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle and Pat.
You know,
Yep.
signing surrender, Tara Franklin was just advocated.
So we'll get the last two back to Amy. That means you have all four, Amy? You're missing two?
No, I'm missing 3 still.
You get 3 over here,
I got
coming your
them, I
way.
got them, I'm saving them all.
They're
Excellent.
being delivered with the pizza. Bruce, did anyone ever tell you you look like Derek Sanderson?
Yes.
Okay.
Only old people,
You
though.
do, actually.
I get his profile, I keep thinking I'm
There's
having
a certain
flashbacks.
age limit where people don't
With
understand.
good hips.
Michelle, do you see that? I know you're not that old, but you are a Bruins fan.
but Do you know who that person is? I didn't think so.
What do you mean you're Derek Sanderson?
Is Bruce's signature missing on that? I mean, I have 4, but.
I don't know, you guys peeked.
Did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes?
Bruce, did you?
I did last month.
We looked at 2 of them
My
last
name on
month.
the,
Yeah, I didn't look at October's.
I might know you a couple.
Yeah, I looked at October,
I
should've
looked
sent
at
them
them
out
all
yesterday.
today.
You look at them, Tom?
Yeah,
I know you a
here's
couple.
another one.
I didn't, everything seems right, I didn't check the spelling because I can't spell.
That's okay. We have enough
I have all the
technically, but-
clerks, so let me know when you're ready to vote on.
Well, we take a motion to approve the minutes for July 12th, 2017.
Make a
Need a
motion.
motion? Sorry.
Yeah, you make the
Make a
motion.
motion to approve the minutes for July 12th?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now about for September 19th.
Tom? You're on a
So
roll.
there was a typo on yours that is not on Patrick, so you can sign it. 11 Old Cart, no, the Enclave, where it's
It
continued.
was on mine?
Okay. If everybody looks at their minutes, the last page where we continue,
12, July?
Ele-
On July ones?
9, September.
Oh, September.
September 9.
September 19th on this one.
Yes, correct.
So we want the minutes for the 19th, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to give me a motion, Tom, for the minutes for September 19th?
Okay, make a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting on September 19th,
2017?
2017.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I was not present, so I'm gonna.
Okay, so Michelle is abstaining from that. And then the last set of minutes we have is
Well,
October.
actually,
I wasn't present, so hold on a second.
yeah, actually, he can't second those,
I
so
can't.
I'll second it.
Came in October.
And Michelle, you can't vote on it because there's, listen to tapes, it looks like.
I believe they still can make
No,
the
she
motion
can't, she
in
can vote if
second.
you
Yeah.
listen to the tape.
Yeah, because it's all in there that you listen to the audio.
Okay, so I can still vote on
You
it.
can still
Right,
vote
you
on
can,
it.
yeah.
So I second it, now go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good.
Hey, 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 hey. All right, make a motion to accept the minutes for October 11th, 2017.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Any other housekeeping,
That's enough, huh?
isn't it? Oh, come on.
No,
Jim.
no, just making sure you guys take your little MACC cards with you and you got your little.
Yeah, I'm gonna frame it, put it in the
You said
bathroom.
if you get stopped.
Oh, yeah, if I get stopped, yeah, what's that gonna do for me?
You're environmentally conscious.
Pull that out. They was checking out the swamp
Yeah.
at a
Oh,
high rate of
yeah,
speed.
that's a good one, I like
At a
that.
high rate of speed,
I like that, I like that a lot.
trying to rustle up a critter.
Bruce, thanks for this.
Somewhere
Give a
down.
motion to close?
Are you all set with us, Janet? Motion to close?
Make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Hey, hey, hey,
Yeah, not too bad.
Okay, we're done.
Norfolk TV.
Good night, Norfolk.
Good
Good
night.
night, Norfolk.